today we'll be talking about MCF. So just to start off right away and tell you what it is, we can go to the next slide. So when we say multi-channel fulfillment or MCF, we're talking about Amazon fulfilling your orders that occur on a non-Amazon sales channel. So it can be best thought of as a 3PL service that you can offer for your website sales if you sold on eBay or other marketplaces, or if you even sold on, social commerce, now that Instagram shops and TikTok is starting to pop up, we could ship orders for any of those channels. And so where this becomes extremely valuable for somebody, as it relates to this conversation today, is you'll do all the work to get set up in another marketplace. So if you're a US-based company and you want to expand to the UK for Amazon specifically, there's a lot of steps involved with doing that. And once you're set up with Amazon, you're setting your inventory into the fulfillment centers that are local to the UK or whichever marketplace that might be. And so you've already done a lot of the work to figure out your logistics. And that's just for the Amazon sales channel. But what you could do is, since you figure that out for Amazon, you could just use that same pool of inventory to expand to other marketplaces in that associated region. So it's nice in that it doesn't require you to, go through and set up with the Amazon FBA system and also a separate 3PL system. You'll just have to do it once, and then we can ship for all of your local D2C orders. So just what we're going to cover today is how best to determine if MCF is a solution for you. Then we'll move on to how best to place your orders and get those orders to Amazon for fulfillment. And next, we'll talk about how one would sign up for that. So to touch a little bit on how MCF works, if you're familiar at all with how Fulfilled by Amazon works, the first two steps are going to be the exact same between Fulfilled by Amazon and multi-channel fulfillment. So you'll send your inventory into Amazon fulfillment centers. So you'll do the work to label your products, get them ready for shipping in, so on and so forth, and then send that shipment in. Once we receive that shipment, then Amazon will do some work to move that product around the country. And the reason we do that is we're trying to move inventory close to where customers are going to buy it. And that allows us to keep our ship costs down, thereby making your cost lower as well. And it also improves our delivery time. So then once inventory is situated and ready, the customer will eventually order your product. And then we'll talk a little bit later on in the next section how that customer's order will get to Amazon automatically. But once we receive it, we'll pick, pack, and ship that order to the end customer. And then the fifth step is an optional step where if the customer, for whatever reason, needed to return that product, you could choose to send that back into an Amazon fulfillment center. So to go over just some of the high-level benefits of multi-channel fulfillment is we offer flat rate and competitive pricing. So our pricing model is aimed to make it very easy to predict and not, laden with, hidden fees and things like that. When we were looking at the competitive landscape, we saw a lot of, residential surcharges, zone-based pricing, all of which just seemed too complicated to understand. So we tried to make it just as simple as possible, so you know exactly what you're going to pay for shipping. And fast shipping, that should be an obvious one. A recent study just came out and showed that Amazon has an average click-to-door speed of 1.9 days in the US, which was 50% higher than any other retailer. So Amazon's fast shipping can be extended to orders that are occurring outside of Amazon even. Connect to your channels. We'll talk about options on how to do that. Simplify and control operations. That's what I was talking about initially, where you don't want to have to go and figure out two different sets of supply chain in another region. Why not just inbound all of your inventory into Amazon? Then that inventory will just become one pooled inventory that can serve your Amazon customers and also your customers from your other channels as well. Upfront delivery promises. So when you're either placing a manual order or even via API, we'll return back when that promised delivery date will be, which can be helpful to drive conversion. And lastly, just fully trackable orders. So every order that we ship is going to have a tracking number associated with it, so the customer can get access to that and have confidence of when they're going to receive their package. Just to dive more into fulfillment, in the US or in most regions, we'll offer 3 different ship speeds. So there'll be a standard, an expedited, and a priority. For the case of the UK, there's just standard and expedited, since expedited ends up being just 1-day delivery anyway. But as you get faster, obviously the price will become more costly to you. But we find that people have success when they're offering multiple ship options to their customers at checkout. So for example, you could have standard shipping, which is our lowest cost, be a free option for shipping, or maybe free if a customer buys, $50 or more of product. And then they could also spend a little bit more if they wanted to get their product faster. So just making sure that you're not losing out on conversion by your delivery times at checkout. Outside of that, it also helps to not increase your fixed costs. So rather than going off and leasing warehouse space somewhere, Amazon's model is you're definitely just pay as you go. So you can send as little or as much inventory as you need to, and you'll just pay storage fees associated with that. But it's not going to be a huge chunk of capital that you'll need to invest in to get started. And also seasonal spikes, you're not going to break Amazon. We go through, Prime Day was just announced. It's going to be in a couple weeks. So we're familiar with spikes, and we're able to keep up with those periods where you may have large sets of orders during a promotion or something like that. Simple competitive pricing. So there's on our website, there's a full link to our rate card. But basically you'll have just one fee that will be everything that is pick, pack, and ship. So there's no separate fees for picking, packing, etc. So at an order level, that's what you'd be paying, is that MCF based fee. And then as I just alluded to, there's also a monthly storage fee that you'll pay to just have your inventory sitting in the fulfillment centers. So it's really just the combination of your inbound costs, the order level fees when we're shipping orders out, and then that monthly storage fee are the 3 big buckets of fees you need to look at. Touched on this a little bit earlier, but when a customer goes to check out on your website, you don't want them to basically just see a flat, delivery time that doesn't have a real good estimate. So I feel like when I'm checking out on websites a lot often, I may just see standard shipping and it doesn't say anything outside of that. When I hit that point, it doesn't give me confidence that I'm going to receive that in any meaningful time frame. So we find it's best to add a delivery estimate on there, be it a static estimate or one that's dynamic based on the delivery promises that we provide. And secondly, giving customers options for shipping. So again, if they need that faster option, that 2-day option, give that option available, and they'll probably pay for it if they need to go a little bit faster. So just a couple statistics to point out: 64% of customers cited cost as the most important factor when it comes to shipping. I think Amazon kind of ruined that for everybody, where everybody expects free shipping now. And the second most important factor was speed, with 19%. So again, the big takeaway from this, in my mind, is think about just the impacts of one pooled inventory. So Amazon, as we said, you'll get set up with that program. If you want the Prime badge in that associated marketplace, then you're going to need to use Fulfilled by Amazon. So if you're going through all that legwork for Amazon.com, why don't you just use that same inventory for your off Amazon channels? So it's going to save you costs, it's going to save you time, and it's going to save you headache, probably more than anything. So to touch a little bit about some new features we launched. So we launched a couple of years back the ability to block Amazon logistics as a carrier. That's most important for certain marketplaces that don't like the Amazon tracking numbers or don't want an Amazon delivery van dropping off their orders. We also added so that when an MCF order ships out, that's going to be impacting your IPI score. If you're an Amazon seller, you may be familiar. If you're not, that might be new to you. But basically, it's judging how quickly are you turning through your inventory, and the higher your score, the better off you'll be able to do in inbounding products to us. Some other upcoming launches: we just shipped our first product in India, so that just happened a couple weeks back. So we should be launching also in the India marketplace later this year. It's rare when you are looking to add a new process that you'll want to add any manual steps involved. So you want to introduce automation wherever possible. And so what that'll mean is when a customer buys from your website or marketplace or wherever it would be, you want that order to automatically route to Amazon for fulfillment. So on this slide, I highlight a few options, not all, it's not exhaustive, but I highlight a few of the options that you can use to do that. So we have apps that we've built in the left column there on a lot of the major e-commerce players. So we have apps on BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Wix, Magento, or now Adobe Commerce, and also Shopify. All those apps are free to use, offer an easy way to connect that associated channel to MCF. If you're involving more marketplaces, so say you have your website, you have eBay, you have Etsy, then an inventory or an order management system might be the best solution for you. So those will be companies outside of Amazon where you'll go and get set up, and they'll have their own monthly fee, but they offer a lot of that automation tools and inventory tracking that'll be necessary, and many say is well worth the investment. So you're not having to go through and place manual orders. So how would you sign up for MCF? MCF is a little funny because there's really no sign up. So once you're an Amazon seller in that marketplace, then you are qualified to start shipping with multi-channel fulfillment. So really, once you figured out the inventory piece and getting your inventory into that associated marketplace, which is going to be the hardest part, then really it's just setting up that automation step that we just touched on the previous slide, and then you're ready to go. Just wanted to throw this on there of where we currently exist today. So US is our biggest marketplace, as you could guess, but we're also available in other North American countries, so Canada, Mexico. We're available in 5 European countries: UK, Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. If you're in, say, Germany, then it's not technically an export to go to somewhere else in the EU. So a lot of people have kind of their base of operations in the UK, since that's now its own dealio, and then one other European country, so you can cover those marketplaces. And then lastly, we're in Japan and Australia, with India coming soon, as I mentioned. Another feature we didn't touch on previously is we're shipping in blank brown boxes, which was a big launch for us. So when a customer buys from your website, you might not want them getting a package that has an Amazon smile on it. So team put in a whole heck of a lot of work to launch our blank box program, meaning orders will be shipped in just a brand neutral package at no extra cost to you. We touched on some of the inventory management options in the previous slide, but with those, you can set your preferences for shipping. So you can say, I want to use only blank boxes, or I want to use only non-Amazon carriers. So you can find out more when working with those order management software solutions.
Adam from Amazon MCF, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us.
You bet.
We have questions before you leave.
Yeah, go.
So we have some awesome questions. And I don't know about everyone on the call, but for me, I get giddy when I hear about new solutions like these. Obviously, from a consumer standpoint, I'm excited about 1.9 average days of delivery. As a merchant, if I'm not using your service, I'm a little frustrated because I need to get there in order to get that higher conversion, because you've really created that expectation with the consumer. But you know what? At the end of the day, as a global force for societal change, I'm happy that we're faster, smarter, cheaper all around the world. So thank you for that. Now,
Absolutely.
Questions on how to use it. A couple of things. One, is there a minimum order quantity you need to be able to use MCF?
There is not, no. So it's pay as you go, and there's no associated minimums. So even if you just wanted to pilot it out, send in your first shipment of under 100 units, that's within your power to do so.
Okay, and do you need to, and I kind of know the answer to this, but essentially you need to place your inventory physically in one of your MCF or your FBA warehouses, correct?
That's correct. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have inventory already in the US, today we don't offer exports, something we're working on. But if you wanted to ship to a UK customer, you would need to send your product into UK fulfillment centers.
So a lot of you are probably thinking, right, well, okay, but how do I do that? Obviously, that part is not what Amazon deals with. How do you get your inventory into the other markets, right? There are 3PLs out there. We have lots of them that we can talk to if you ever want to. And then also there's partners, I presume, Gabe and Evolved Commerce might also have connections with some of those as well. But you've got to get them in. And then, of course, there's an issue if you have beauty products, packaged foods, anything that has regulatory layers on top of it, then, of course, you're going to need somebody to help you import that and comply locally. This is not the case where you're talking, for example, about a direct-to-consumer model where you may, in certain countries, not have to deal with issues like local labeling or such because you're going direct-to-consumer and the consumer assumes the risk as an individual importer, because in this case, you are importing wholesale into those regions, into the Amazon fulfillment center. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, Adam, but that's my understanding. If I'm wrong,
Well said.
Okay. So obviously, you're still now doing a wholesale importation. Usually, if you have a distributor, then your distributor would do it. But how do you work with, or have you had experience working with distributors in this case? I mean, if I'm a brand in the US, do I just have my distributor talk to you and import, and I just tell them to go use MCF, or do I manage that myself?
Yeah, it can, I guess, depend on what level of ownership you want on the process. So I've seen it done both ways, where some people will say, okay, let me just pass it off to my distributor. They're going to do everything from managing my listings over there to inbounding product. But I think a lot of people want, that level of control still themselves. So then, they'll go through, create that new marketplace account, and they'll go through, set up the inbound shipment. And then just the biggest departure from, inbounding domestically, so US to US to US to international, is that you need to go out and find the carrier. So there's just a little bit of work involved to go and find that out. But as you can imagine, it's not an uncommon use case. So there's lots of players out there that could do that.
Adam, before you leave, the blank box, a lot of people probably don't understand the significance of this. And so I want to just highlight that, right? I don't know how much you're able to really speak to this. I will speak to it. You tell me if I'm accurate. But of course, a lot of people may say, oh, well, I like the blank box because I don't want the logo. Some people say, wait, but the blank box, the logo from Amazon says a little bit more of, security. It certainly imbues a sense of kind of trust. The reason that some people might want a blank box is if you're selling off of a channel that prefers not to necessarily cooperate, let's say with Amazon, or may want to have their own fulfillment, you still can fulfill with Amazon. But there's some levels of filtering if it has an Amazon logo on it versus if it doesn't. How much can you talk to that, Adam?
Sure. Yeah. So when I first joined the team, we were shipping everything in Amazon packaging, which if I'm selling through my website, maybe I do or don't want, as you pointed out. But if I'm selling on another marketplace, you can imagine they wouldn't be thrilled to have an Amazon logo on the side of that package. So it became a huge emphasis for us to launch, and it was a huge endeavor, as you can guess. The Amazon logistics network is a pretty well-oiled machine, and we were basically uprooting that to say, nope, ship with these packages instead. So it was a huge endeavor. But now, and now, as you pointed out, you can control that. So by default, we'll try to ship in blank boxes all of the time. But if you wanted to add something to your website to say, hey, we fulfill by Amazon, maybe that's another conversion driver for you, then you can definitely do so if you're using MCF.
Yeah, that's great. I remember talking to your team when you first kind of launched MCF, and it was definitely, that was an issue. There's definitely some filtering going on. People are not thrilled in other marketplaces that Amazon does it, but it's really a great solution. So thank you again, Adam, and we appreciate your time.